Assalamualaikum and a very warm welcome to all our esteemed participants. Welcome to CDAE webinar. You are with me today, Sarah from CDAE. We're truly excited to have you with us as we explore a topic that's becoming increasingly important in the higher education landscape, the design and development of high-quality micro-credentials, or as we know, the MCs. This session will offer a deep dive into the technical aspects of crafting MCs that not only align with academic standards but also meet the quality expectation of the university. Our esteemed speaker for today's webinar is Associate Professor Dr. Teh Suyen, Director from School of Mathematical Sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not keep you waiting any longer. So please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Teh Suyen.
Thank you, Siti Sarah. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Tay from School of Mathematical Sciences. So today I would like to, share with you some details about how to create, an MC that will meet the basic requirements set out by the CDAE. So I have put some links in the chat box, so do visit the link to get the checklist. Let me share my screen first. So if you access one of the link, you would get this checklist. So this checklist is what basically you would refer to when you develop your micro-credential or when you're about to send your micro-credential for quality control check at the CDAE level. So as you're already aware, once you have developed your MC, before your MC is published, you have to send it, you have to apply for QC check through the MICMOS system in Campus Online. So CDAE will pick an assessor and the assessor will assess your micro-credential based upon this checklist. So you have to ensure that when you submit your micro-credential, you fulfill all these requirements. So I'm going to show you one by one how to achieve each of these requirements and maybe give you an example using my own micro-credentials, because basically I can only access my own micro-credential. So it doesn't mean that my micro-credentials are the best or most popular, but because I think it is good to give you a reference point so that you can inject your own creativity into it and you can make it even better. Okay, so first thing, when you look at the checklist, the first thing is the landing page. So if you look into the website of CDAE's, all the micro-credentials that have been published in USM under the Learning for Life platform, you will see all these micro-credentials here. So these are the featured modules. You will see more under each categories that you have here. So if you click on any of them, you will be directed towards a page that has some information about the course. So this page is what we call the landing page. Okay, so it's basically the first page you would land on. So I guess it's called landing page for that reason. So you will have the title, you will have many components. So this is what landing page look like for a course, for any micro-credential. So let's go back to this. So first, what we have in the landing page is, of course, the title of the course. So when you are creating a micro-credential, you have to think of a title for your course. And of course, the title should be brief, informative, and clear. So this is up to the developer. You create your own title. Hopefully it's a catchy one. It's a one that will attract learners. Okay, but basically don't make it too long. We don't restrict in terms of number of words or number of characters. It's totally up to the developer, but we advise it to be brief, informative, and clear. We don't want it to be too long, because if you view in the screen here, let's go back to this screen. If it's too long, you won't see the entire title. The entire title would not fit on the screen, for example. Okay, so you want it to be short. You want to capture the learner's attention very quickly. So do not make it too long. So like, for example, this one is not that long, but because the words are there are many characters to each word, so you will see it would be cut off like this. So if you want the whole title to appear, don't make your title too long. So that's the first criterion in the checklist. And then, of course, in the landing page, you have to have the promo video. Okay, you don't have the option of just promo image. You must have a promo video. So it's compulsory. And the promo video, of course, will have the following criteria. You will have a short preview of the module, such as the main objective and target participants. So what happens is when we get MC for QC, some of the promotional videos, what they do to fulfill this criterion is that they actually record the screen of them browsing through the modules. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not very good in that way. Okay, so you should do something different, to give a brief information about the modules available in your course. So let me give you an example. Let's see whether I can find the example here. So use my course as an example. So let's see. So how I did it in my class is I just do something like something like this. Okay, just something very simple like this to see what I have, the topics that I have in my course and so on and so forth. So you can do something like this instead of, recording the screen and seeing you browsing through the platform itself. So that is not very good in my opinion. Or you can do it in this way, use some kind of a flow chart. You can do it in this way, like this. Okay, you can use this, something like this, to just features what are the modules that you have if you want details like this to be shown to the learners. Okay, so that's basically what is meant by a short preview of the module. So these are just examples. Of course, you can inject your own, again, you can inject your own ideas and creativity. You can make it your own style. It's all depends on you. This is just a reference. Of course, duration up to 3 minutes. So the questions is sometimes the developer will ask if I exceed a little bit can, if it is not up to 3 minutes can, a little bit plus and minus. Okay, not exceed too much, but it's up to 3 minutes. Okay. Of course, includes the instructor image and profile. So in the video, you have to have your, you have to show your face. I mean, some of us are very shy in showing our face, but you have to, at least show a picture of you with some information about you in the promo video itself. Okay, in the promo video itself, because the learner would like to know who you are, who are the instructors involved. Okay. And then intro and outro, I think this checklist is pretty good because it includes all the information necessary. Like, for example, you need to have intro, outro, and where you can download the intro and outro. So if you click on this link, you can download the intro and outro. Of course, then you have to edit your promotional video to add in the intro and add the outro at the back. Okay, so the intro and outro must be there. So you need to learn some kind of video editing software, basically. So that's about the promo video. It's not much. These are the basic requirements. So you can make it your own. As long as you have this, then we will I will show you the scorecard that we use to assess your micro credential. It's basically the same as the PDF, the version, the checklist version. So we as the assessor, we will assess based upon the checklist provided to you. We will say whether you have it or not, or whether it's not applicable in certain cases. And then we will give you some comments, suggestions on how you can improve on that particular criterion for before the MC is published. Okay, of course, we will have overall feedback like this as well. But basically, the criteria are just like what you have here. This is something that you can download from the link provided to you in the chat box. So that's landing page, the title, the promo video, and then next is the blurb. So what is a blurb? Okay, CDAE even provided you a link to the workshop that we had last time on blurb. I attended that workshop as well, so I learned a lot from that workshop about blurb. So what exactly is blurb? So if you go back to CDA website and you look at the courses, the micro credentials that we have there. So you see this is the title, right? This is the title. And then the blurb is basically this. This is the blurb. So it's like, I don't know what it's called. It is something like catchy, catchy, catchy descriptions of your course. So you want to make it, catchy basically. So this is blurb. Okay, this is blurb. What you can see here is just the title and the blurb, and of course, whether the course is on now or and then also the price. But basically, what you see here in different font size and fonts, in bold, it's blurb. Okay, and go back to the checklist. The blurb should be brief and concise. It should highlight key features, interesting aspect, and value. So if you go through the video, I remember because when I attended the blurb workshop, the speaker advised, people will keep on asking, so how short is short, how short, how many characters, how many words. So I think the speaker did provided some guideline like 80 characters. I might be wrong about that because it has been some time ago, but basically I remember it's about 80 would be good. You can exceed a little bit, it can be less, but 80 is I think the threshold that she put forward in the workshop. So I use that 80 guideline, 80 characters, not 80 words. Why you don't want it to be too long? Again, it's the same thing with title. It will be cut off. You read it and then it will be cut off like this. So the blurb should not be too long. Okay, it should not be too long. You want it to be short so that it's catchy, so that everything fits into this thumbnail here. So that's your blurb. So you have to think of a blurb. So my blurb is something like this. I just use the same blurb because I have different topics. So let's move on to, if you have any question, feel free to, unmute yourself and ask me, or you can type it in the chat box and I will take a look at it whenever possible, right? And of course, the module includes hypnosis. So this is all in the landing page. We're talking just about the landing page first, okay? So if you go back to any of the landing page.
Just again, can I ask questions
Sure,
regarding
sure,
the
of
title?
course. Of course, of
Hi,
course.
I'm from School of Biological Sciences, Dr.
Hi.
Yasmin. So I would like to ask about the title. Is it like, for example, if I would like to use title that it's quite similar with the like a course that been offered in our school? Is it possible or it's not
You can, of
allowed?
course. It's allowed. You mean an academic program with the same name
Yeah,
as the
the
micro?
same
I
name.
think
Is
it's
it
allowed.
possible?
It's of course possible. I have colleagues, I think, that are using the same name for the course. I think, yeah,
Okay.
you're allowed to do that, no problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
So let's move on. Hypnosis is something like this. This is a very short hypnosis. So it's basically telling, what the course is all about, some basic information about the course so that the learners can know what you have in the course before they proceed to join the course. So let's take a look at. So you can view any of these micro-credential in Learning for Life platform to learn more about what hypnosis is and how other people write hypnosis. Then you can refer to it. How I write my hypnosis is like this. Mine is a bit more lengthy. Sorry, I cannot do this because I'm logged in. So let me go to incognito mode. Okay, so this is let's go to, because that is, I'm going to show you the micro-credential one. So more similar to my MOOC. So because my micro-credential, you have to pay for it. So if you want to take a look at the content, similar content without paying, you go to the MOOC version. I have the MOOC. MOOC is free. Whatever I have in the MOOC, the style that I use, the design that I use is more or less the same as the one that I use for my micro-credential. So for MOOC is you don't have to pay lah. So this is my micro-credential. So this is basically my synopsis. I would say this is my synopsis here. So you can write like your synopsis if you are developing a micro-credential based upon the academic program that you are offering in USM or academic course that you are offering in USM, then you can use the synopsis for that course, and then you maybe can write a little bit more if you want to give the learners a bit more details about what you have in your course, you know, what this course is all about, who this course is perfect for, what are the basic requirements before you join the course, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is basically synopsis. So it's basically a summary and a preface to your course. Okay. So this is my example, but you can view any micro credentials in the Learning for Life platform to see how other people wrote their synopsis. So that's synopsis, and of course, in the landing page, as part of, usually it's as part of the synopsis, you might want to recommend prior knowledge and skill of the learners before they join the course, because sometimes when you're developing, you know, academic courses, what you have is that they have to take, you know, basic courses first before they take this advanced course. So you might want to state those prerequisites in the synopsis or in the landing page lah, as part of the synopsis. So that's what I have, and that's what I did lah. So if you go back to here, I've stated that, okay, because this is part of the calculus course that I'm offering at the School of Mathematical Sciences. And I think here, I stated that students are expected to acquire the necessary proficiency in basic calculus, meaning before you take this course, you are expected to have taken the basic calculus course, because this is calculus 2, so you should have taken calculus 1. So module learning outcomes are clearly stated. So it's obvious that if you look at any of the micro-credential, you will see this part here, what you will learn. So the module learning outcomes are here. So it is a must that you include these learning outcomes. What would the learner achieve from completing this course? So this is basically your course learning outcome. So if you're developing an academic course, it's easy because you can use your BPK, and then you just use the course learning outcomes that you have in the BPK. So this is the course learning outcomes, and you have to have it in this learning page. So it's a must. And the start date, estimated duration. So all this information, they must be in the landing page. Again, go back to the landing page. You would have how much it costs, the duration, and the start date. Okay, sometimes, you know, certain courses that are offered for certain period, but for us, for micro-credential, we usually put start anytime because you want the learner to be able to join and then go through the learning process, you know, at any time of the year. So if you as developer, you want only to open the class at certain dates, so you have to specify the dates here. For credit transfer modules, 40 student learning time. So like, I think some of you might already be aware of this. There was a workshop on this. Basically, if you want to earn accreditation for your micro-credential, each micro-credential should have at least 40 SLT. So you have to calculate. You have to develop a course based on the learning contents and make sure that it fulfills the 40 SLT if you want to earn accreditation, the MQA. Okay, for other modules, if you don't want it to be a credit transfer modules, if you have no intention of using it for credit transfer, then there's no minimum to SLT. So there's no minimum duration, no SLT estimation. Okay, price clearly stated, so it's already there. You have to state your price. As you know, micro-credential USM, it has to be a paid course. Of course, when you creating the course, you have the option of having it a free course or paid course. For my USM micro-credential, it has to be paid. So you have to set the price. I think the minimum is 30 ringgit for USM micro-credential. So the instructor profile has the following details. So that's all in the landing page. So instructor profile. Again, you have the instructor profile in the video, but you also need to have the instructor profile in the landing page itself so that the learner doesn't have to go and watch the video to know your profile. The learner can already see your profile from the landing page. So if you go back to the landing page, you should have the profile there. You can put it anywhere after the course outcome, for example, here. For me, I did not put the whole thing here, but I provided a link to my website. So if the learners want to know more about the instructor, they can go to this link here. So what you can do is you can use the link as like what I doing, or you can directly put your picture here and with your information like your school, your contact information, email, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can directly put it here because I've seen others who have done that before, and it's okay, it's fine. It depends on your style. Like I say, these are just reference. You take this reference and then you develop your own ideas based upon this reference, and then you make it your own. You have your own style. My style is definitely going to be different from your style. Okay, but you have to fulfill the basic requirements set up by CDA in the checklist. So that's all about the landing page. It's pretty easy, landing page. Okay, you have to have all this information. If you have all this information, we're going to tick yes. Okay, of course, we will have some comments if there are grammatical errors and so on, so on and so forth. We will put in some recommendation. It's entirely up to the developer. But like we say, if your title is very long, we will advise maybe you can have a shorter title. But if the developer insists that I want this title because I think I'm the subject matter expert and I think this title is perfect, then just go ahead because we respect you as a subject matter expert. We only recommend. But as long as you fulfill all these criteria, then you're good to go. Okay. So next is the home page. Okay, this is the home page. You have to have all this in the home page. Then we say, what is a home page? We know the landing page is the first page that we see here. Once you join the course, you will be directed to the course home page. So if you go to, let me show you my home page here. So let's say if you go to this course of mine, if I join it, I pay for it. I can access it because I'm the developer. You will not be able to access it unless you pay for it. Okay, so if you want to get an overall idea on how it looks like, you go to the MOOC version. It's almost the same as micro-credential. It's almost the same. It's just different platform. And MOOC, of course, the course is a bit more intensive than the micro-credential. But basically, the layout, the structure, the design is all the same. So once you join the course, the first page that you see is what we call the home page. Okay, the name speaks for itself, home page. So there are things that you need to have in your home page, and you can design it according to your style. Okay, so do it your own style. This is my style. It's a bit flowery and so on, but this is my style. So let's see what you need to have in the home page. So homepage here, you need to first include welcome and getting started remarks. Okay, first the welcoming message is just a short message. You can say welcome to whatever the title of the course that you have. You can add in pictures or whatever you want, or just something simple like other courses. Let me show you other courses. I have them. Let's see, I have one example that I want to show. Or it can be simple like this one. Right? Simple like this, welcome to the course. That's it. Okay, that's a welcome message. You can add in sub-message if you want, depending on the style, what you want to convey to the learners. Okay, something simple like that will work fine. Or if you want something more fancy, fancy is not necessarily good. But it's my style. So if you want something fancy, it's just like what I have shown you just now. Some simple things like this. Okay, this is just my style. Okay. And of course, getting started remarks. Getting started remarks is something like instruction on how to navigate the course. Instruction on how to navigate the course, like what I have here, getting around for students. So you have here some message that will help the students to know where should they go for certain information, where are the menu and so on. So it's going to be something brief like this, because when you create, I will show you when you create. See, it's been blocked. When you create a course, show you a new course. When you create a course, the getting started message is already there by default, and then you can build on it. So you don't exactly have to start from scratch, because when you create a course in Open Learning, this homepage is going to look like this. You just need to edit it, and you can see that the getting around for students is already there. Okay, so you can use this default, you can add in if you want. So it's not that hard, okay, as long as the getting around message is there in your homepage. So you have to make sure that it is there. Okay, so that's the getting around remarks. And then brief description or synopsis of the module. So remember the synopsis from the landing page. You can take the synopsis from the landing page and put it here in your homepage. It's the same synopsis. You can use the same. You can revise it if you want. You can add in more information if you want. Entirely up to you. Okay, but it has to be there. The synopsis has to be there. And of course, learning outcomes are clearly stated. So let's go back to here. So you will see my synopsis here. This is my course synopsis. Of course, you have to label it properly, hopefully, because sometimes we see that the developer, they don't really label it, but it will be good like if you label it so that we know, okay, this is a synopsis. And then after that, you have the course learning outcomes. This is the course outcomes. Okay, so label it, nicely, put it nicely so that is when you read it straight away, we know, okay, we're reading now the synopsis, we're reading now the outcomes. So the outcomes are exactly what you have in the landing page. So what you have in the landing page, you just need to put it again, use the same thing again and have it on your homepage. All right. It's all good. Am I going too fast? I asked for 2 hours, CDA give me 3 hours. So if we can finish earlier. So again, if you have any question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or type in the chat box and I will address them later.
Hi,
So
I have
yes.
one question here. Regarding for the academic course, like how actually if academic course, so let's say we have 7 modules for 120 SLT. Then each module, how could we determine how many weeks that the student need to complete one module, let's say
How many
one module, how many weeks time, duration of time. So how we are going to give the time that's suitable for, let's say, for each module based on SLT. So there is any calculation how to convert, let's say the SLT is 16 for module 1, and then when we want to do in MC, how long that will be?
Okay, so
that's the question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nurul. So if you look at the checklist at the bottom, I think the second last page, you have this this student learning time estimation prepared by CTE, so that you can use this as a guide on how to calculate the SLT, how to convert the online learning time to SLT. And then our course, academic course, 120 SLT, I know. So if you want to develop, like I mentioned before, if you want to make sure that your credential can be used for credit transfer each micro-credential should be 40 SLT. So therefore, your 120 SLT, you have to divide it into 3 micro-credential, 120. If it's 160 SLT, then it will be 4 micro-credential. So that later on you can use the micro-credential for credit transfer. How to divide them? You have to look like whether you divide them according to topics or according to course learning outcomes, for example. Okay, and how to determine the number of SLT for each course? Then you have to look at BPK, because when you use the micro-credential for credit transfer later on, it has to follow the same BPK, more or less the same BPK. Okay, so when you determine what topics to be covered in the micro-credential, it has to tally with the SLT that you have in the BPK. The micro-credential SLT can have more than the BPK SLT. Okay, for example, the BPK for your course right now is 120, right? So you develop the micro-credential, sometimes you exceed maybe 125 SLT in total and so on. That's fine. Okay, you divide into 40 SLT. So this 40 SLT of topic, you convert it into micro-credential. But when you calculate it, you find that the micro-credential has more than 40 SLT, let's say 45 or 50 SLT. It's fine. You can have more, but you cannot have less, according to what I understand from the CDAE workshop.
So this is compulsory for one module, 40 SLT and above.
If you want to use, from what I understand from the CDAE workshop, if you want to use the micro-credential for credit transfer, micro-credential has to be 1 unit. So 1 unit must be 40 SLT.
Okay. So each module 40 SLT.
Yes, at least 40, at least. You can exceed.
Or we can, divide them into more than, let's say, in this case, let's say we have like 3 modules equal to 120 SLT. Okay, if let's say one module 40 SLT. Okay, and then if let's say we want to go more than 4 modules, is it okay as long as total 120 SLT?
I'm not too sure, because mine is like that. Mine is exactly like that. That's the question that I've asked CDE. They say they have to get back to me on that. But what I understand right now is 1 micro-credential, 1.
Maybe CDAE can give us some guideline on this.
Yeah, I also asked CDA the same question. I also asked and also Dr. Nick the same question. Dr. Nick said cannot. Dr. Nick said cannot. But as Puan Halimato, because right now, my micro-credential is like this, because my 1 micro-credential is only like maybe 20 SLT, some are 60 SLT and so on. So I don't have like 1 micro-credential that, because for credit transfer, it has to have at least 40 SLT. So mine doesn't, but when you add them together, it's 120 or 160 SLT. So I'm not too sure yet. I have to get back to, maybe CDAE can get back to us on that. But right now I don't have the information. The information that I have is that 1 micro-credential has to be 40 SLT. So Dr. Nick has suggested, of course, you can develop a new one, and then you just merge everything together so that you can have 120 SLT. Or now, if you haven't developed it yet, you can make sure that each micro-credential is 40 SLT. That will make your life and CDAE life easier, I guess.
Dr. Suyen, I would like to ask, is it 40 SLT means 40 hours?
Yes, I believe so.
You convert 40 hours for one
Yes,
module.
40 hours.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's quite
yeah. Well, 1 module means 1 topic. It's not too
topic.
much. You can have ask them to do it over a week, over 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Normally, it's like 40 hours is how long will it takes? Like months or what? How long it takes?
It depends because we set our time like for the student to complete within 2 weeks and so on, but they can exceed 2 weeks because this is micro-credential. They can learn
Okay.
anytime, anywhere. So if
Okay.
for week students, maybe they will take longer than if you set 2 weeks, maybe week students or students who are working, they might not have time to finish it within 2 weeks, but that's fine because they won't be punished for it. It's just recommended completion time. You are recommended to
Okay.
complete this within 2 weeks, but you can have more than they can complete within more than 2 weeks as long as
But so but it's required to put like some period, like for example, like 2 weeks time.
Yes.
Or is it required? Is it compulsory for that?
For our
Just now.
QC, yes, you have to recommend a time because this is only recommendation time, and the recommended time will tally with your BPK because if you divide your micro-credential into topics, if you look at the BPK says that, okay, this topic will take how many weeks to complete it. So you can use it as an estimate.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Teh,
Yes.
so ID here. Regarding this SLT, because in the BPK, right, there are two portions, right, for the SLT. One is the student, direct learning time, and also the self-learning time, right? So when we talk about SLT for the FC ini, for example, the one video there, kan, 1 hour SLT, right? So this one, does it mean that the 1 hour is, the direct learning time, or what about the self-learning time?
What I understand is that the student learning time estimation here includes the preparation time.
Oh, okay. So in your approach when you do for the credit transfer, right? So for example, let's say if you 1 hour lecture, the learning time is 1 hour, and the self learning, the preparation learning time is, I don't know, the ratio you are using, maybe 1 to 2, right? So let's say for one topic of lecture, 1 hour of lecture, so maybe the total SLT is 1 plus 2, so 3 hours, right? The conventional one, lah. So based on that, how do you convert to MC in your CT credit transfer microcred?
That's a good question. If you look at it closely enough, I don't think that the SLT calculation for my course is exactly 100% the same as BPK. And I think from my perspective, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's more or less like half. When I first created my micro-credential, I just, go ahead and create it. I don't think too much about, 100% fully, adhering to the BPK. I don't know, I cannot remember how I converted it, but we have the cost mapping, the cost mapping that we need to do before we are given the license to create the course. So you have to do the mapping. So from the mapping, more or less, you will be able to see whether it tallies with the BPK or not. Okay, so I think it tallies the way that I configure my course last time for the cost mapping. I think it tallies. So that's basically how we ensure it. Like we plan first before we go ahead and create micro credentials. So we have to do calculation. We have to do calculation, make sure that let me show you the course mapping. I don't have the cost mapping with me because I forgot my hard disk. But basically, the cost mapping will give you some idea on whether the course that you are creating will tally with the BPK or not. Because your BPK says your teaching time for this is 1 hour, the preparation time is 1 hour, half hour, so 1.5. So 2 hours, 3 hours. So when you create the video, you might want to take this into consideration. When you do the mapping, you might do the calculation again to make sure that at least more or less the total amount of time that the student or the learner spend on the learning contents without the assessment and so on tally with what you have in your BPK. So you have to ensure that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? If not, then let me continue with homepage. Learning outcomes instruction is again instructor profile. So you can see instructor profile is just everywhere. It's in the video, it's in your landing page. And again, you have to have it at your home page. Okay, you have to have it at your home page so that the learner, after they join the program, if they've forgotten how you look like or forgot about your information, they can still go back to the home page and look at it. Okay, so it has to be in the home page. So if you go back to any of the micro-credential homepage that we have, the profile has to be there. It can be something simple, just like this. Okay, so you will have your name. Of course, you have to have your name. And of course, you need to have your contact information and your affiliation. Okay, these are the basic requirements. And of course, if you possible, put in your specialization. Okay, so that's what we usually require for your profile in the homepage. Now, brief instruction on netiquette. This is if any, so it's not compulsory. It's not compulsory, but it will be good if you put it in. So for me, this is how I put it in. You don't have to come up with your own netiquette. You can just get it from somewhere. So I got it from this website. So you, for micro-credential, you have to make sure there's no copyright issue. Okay, so when you take some pictures or take something from, make sure, usually you will ensure the pictures that you have taken or materials that you have taken have no copyright issue. Now, for me, for my netiquette, I don't think that it's going to be a big issue if I take from certain website or certain source, as long as I acknowledge the source. Okay, so because it's just netiquette. So I took it from this website and I just make it my own. This is an image I created on my own so that I can just, click on it to view the details and so on. Okay, so that's my netiquette, but the ticket is just, it's not compulsory. Okay. Ice breaking activity with example by the instructor is provided. So in the home page, you need to have ice breaking activity, so that is compulsory. Ice breaking activity is meant to, break the ice with the participant, so that, and also to, just to let the participant, learn how to upload materials in the platform. So ice-breaking activities, you can think of any activity that will, break the ice, have the learners warm up to you. And usually we make it something simple, not too, not too intensive, not too rigorous. It's something simple, like post a picture of your hometown, post a picture of your favorite food, something like that, something easy, so that you get to know the learners can get to know you, and they can just learn how to, they can get started on posting image or posting stuff on the platform. So my ice-breaking activity is, of course, on the homepage, and this is how I do. You can have, your own style. You can ask ChatGPT on what kind of ice-breaking activity, and there's an AI tool here, of course, in Open Learning that could help you devise ice-breaking activities that's suitable for your topic. So once you ice-breaking activity, then allow them to upload the image here. So that's ice-breaking activity. So once you have all this, then you're all set on the homepage, everything ready. So anything extra you want to add on it, then feel free to do so, but advisable to keep the homepage simple, not too many things, not too overwhelming. Okay, basic things are what you have here. All these must be there for us to think, yes, you have it there on the homepage, and you will pass the QC check if you have all this there. And then the user experience, we as the assessor, we will take a look at the overall experience after we go through all your learning activities, the whole thing, the whole module, whether your module has a systematic, consistent, and uncluttered layout. So we would see not just your homepage, but also your learning activities, and see whether they are, arranged in good manners. They are not like, there are missing gaps, there are spacings, there are empty spaces in the middle of nowhere, all are laid out properly, all the font size, they are consistent, then we say that it has a systematic and consistent and cluttered layout. And it's easy to navigate, it's easy to find where to go for activity 1, where to go for assessment, and so on. So navigation, text and color scheme is consistent. So sometimes I know it really depends on the learner, but sometimes the developer would like to use rainbow colors. So try not to use rainbow color, although we know the rainbow colors will capture the learner's attention, but sometimes it will distract the learners, okay? Distraction, we don't want them to be distracted from learning. Okay, so try to use a consistent color scheme and try to use consistent text font. Okay, you don't have to use Arial, and then sometimes you use Calibri or Times New Roman and so on. So try to use consistent text and consistent color scheme. You have your own color scheme. Okay, color scheme, I will think somewhere there later in a PowerPoint presentation for your course. This document the tree. So I would stick with that one. If you want to use, if you want to quantify the color scheme, stick to 3 colors, not too many. Don't try not to use rainbow colors, but again, up to the instructor. If the instructor, they want to make their course colorful, then it's entirely up to them, but it's only our recommendation. But as long as your text and color scheme is consistent, then you will be good to go. Okay, so maybe we will come back to this later on, but it's basically user experience, basically how nice your micro-credential look. Okay. Then we go into content. So what is content? Okay, what is content? So once we're done with the homepage, okay, once we are done with the homepage, we will go to learning activities. Okay, in the get started is already mentioned. Okay, we first time on learning open learning, select the learning activities tab to access the course content. So we go to the learning activities tab, and this is where the main learning contents are. Okay, these are basically your modules here. Okay, these are my modules. I call them lesson 1, lesson 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for this course, I have 7 modules, 7 lessons here. So this is the content of the course. And so therefore, let's look at what we have in the content. The content structured systematically. Okay, structured systematically, it depends on your design content. So we have lesson 1, lesson 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's structured well. Sometimes certain developer, they don't want to use lesson. They want to use module 1, module 2. That's fine. Sometimes they want to use topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. That's fine. Okay, it's fine. Now, structured consistently, we will have to look at the page itself. So under each module here, here we call it lesson. Under each lesson, we have all these things here, all these thumbnails here. And this is basically page, what we call page, what we refer to as pages. Okay, these are the content pages for this topic or for this lesson. So if you click on the page, you will see the content of the page. Okay, you will see the content of the page. So the assessment, all these criteria here are basically for the contents of all these pages that you have in your learning activities. So we will go through every single page in your learning activities and assess whether the learning contents in the pages, they fulfill all these criteria or not. Okay, so make sure your page look nice, is structured properly. Okay, you don't have, like I say, empty space in the middle of nowhere. Everything is properly and neatly organized. And instruction is sufficient and clear. Okay, you have to have some instruction. You don't want to have something like, let me show you an example. You don't want to have something like this with no, with no pictures. You have to have some pictures. And then most importantly, you don't want to end up with a page like this. Okay, when a learner click on your page, they see a video. Okay, I play the video. Okay, the video plays. Good. But what do I do with the video? Then what do I do after I watch the video? Okay, so you have to have some instruction for the learners here. You cannot just in a page, okay, I just want the reader or the learner to watch a video, so I just put the video here and that's it. That's my content page. That's my learning content. It's not sufficient to just do that. You have to have some instruction. You have to have some, if possible, you have to have some introduction, and then you have to have some instruction on what the reader should do. with the video. Of course, it's obvious the reader should watch the video, but you would want to have a clear instruction on asking the user to watch the video for what, you know. And then you might want to have some after the video, you might want to ask the reader to reflect on the video, to write reflection on the video, and so on and so forth. So those kind of instructions are necessary. Just so don't do something like this, where you only have the video and no instruction whatsoever. So you'll be surprised that we do receive micro-credential like this, with page like this, where there's no instruction and there's just video. Okay, so this is considered incomplete. So please don't submit an incomplete micro-credential to CDAE for QC check. Okay, because if you do it this way, then we're going to write in the report, we're going to criticize you for it. And when you receive those criticism, you will not feel good about yourself. You will feel demoralized, I guess, discouraged from, developing micro-credentials in the future. So we don't want to do that. We as assessor, we don't like to criticize people. We like to praise people. So we want to make people feel good. We want people to, when they receive the QC report, they receive encouragement, they receive praises, so they feel very encouraged and motivated to develop more micro-credentials in the future. So help us make you feel good. So don't submit an incomplete piece of work to us. So basic instruction must be there. Okay, basic instruction on what do we do with the learning content. Do we read it? How much time should we spend on reading it, and so on and so forth. So you can add in those kind of instruction. Of course, your micro-credential throughout the landing page, the home page, the learning pages, you have to make sure that they are free of grammatical and spelling errors, so as much as possible. Of course, we do make minor mistakes. I do have some minor mistake errors, typos here and there, but not too much, not too glaring errors. Okay, so make sure you check, you go through all the pages in your own micro-credential to make sure that they are free of glaring grammatical and spelling errors. Now, the model offers a variety of contents delivery format. So a lot delivery format. So meaning is the way you deliver the learning contents to the learner. So of course, we know micro-credential videos are a must. So you must have videos, but you don't want to use just videos. Okay, you use videos to deliver your content, your course content. But you don't want to keep on using videos only, because that's boring. Okay, so you want to inject some diversity into your delivery method. Okay, so instead of using just videos, you can consider using other things, like, for example, so let me show you some examples here. Need to go. You can have it in the form of notes. Okay, instead of just every single page, because you would have many pages, you don't want to have like videos in each page. So every time I go through a page, I only have video. But you can have some notes like this, not necessary to just have videos for every single page. You can have notes like this. You can embed PDF. You can use flipbook. It's entirely up to you, your style. My style is like this. So I have a different way of delivering the contents. So one is video. The other is like just type the notes here. And the other one that is really encouraged is using Genially. So let's see, something like this. So basically it's interactive image. Because sometimes I don't use PDF because I don't quite like it, because but I see that other developers, they do embed like PDF or ask the student to download the notes as PDF and read it and so on. So you can do that as well. But what I would actually recommend is using interactive image like this. Okay, so that will summarize the content of the course or the topic, what you want to deliver. So interactive image means when you go to certain buttons or so on, you will be able to see the details of the things that you want to convey. So use these different types of content delivery tools. Okay, so to diversify your content delivery format. So this criterion means you not just use video lah. You have to use something else in interactive image, notes, flipbook, whatever you can think of to deliver your course contents. Not just video. Okay. Slides, presentation, infographic. So most of us in the video, of course, we will have slides because we are doing a lecture. So we will use PowerPoint presentation in the video. So in my video, it's the same. I use a lot of slides. So and some of you might use infographic instead of slides. That's fine. But whether you use slides or you use infographics and so on in your video, you must make sure that all those slides, infographic, they fulfill all these criteria. Okay, minimum bullet points, minimum transitions, high quality graphic, appropriate charts. If you use charts, then use appropriate ones, appropriate color scheme, recommended not more than 3 colors. So I remember last time CDAE has a template for the PowerPoint, but I'm not too sure about that, where to get that. I remember they have a template for PowerPoint, but I don't use that template. I use my own template because I did my micro-credential first before they came out with the template. And background sound too loud, it disturbs our attention. Do I have a background sound? Let's see. Is it my fan? Is that better now? Okay, I have some message in the chat box, so let me go to the chat box first before I proceed further, okay? That's my chat box. I cannot see my chat box. Okay, I have okay, no background sound. Okay, that's fine. So I'm doing the session from home. So there might be cars passing by, lorry passing by, or dogs barking, but I think it's not too loud lah. So I already shut down the fan, so it should have no background sound. Okay, which apps or tools did I use to develop the micro credential for the personally funded? Okay, creating the micro credential personally funded. At first, yes. The only thing that I get. Okay, sorry about that. For creating videos or images, I use OpenShot a lot. Okay, basically all my videos, my teaching videos in the micro credentials are created using OpenShot. So I'm going to type the name in the chat box. So that's the tool that I created. I remember last time CDAE organized a workshop on OpenShot. It was a very good workshop. I learned a lot from that workshop, and I just started using OpenShot after I attended the workshop. So OpenShot is a really good video editing software, and it's free. And images, or course, I use the Genially. I'm not too sure whether I pronounce it correctly, but for interactive image, the one that I usually use is this. Okay, so you can use that, of course. Canva to create the image. Okay, that you put in the Genially to edit and so on. So that's usually what I do with my content. You can also use Flipbook, but I think Flipbook, I know some of our developers in med school, they use Flipbook. Certain advanced feature of Flipbook, you have to pay for it. So maybe you can ask your school to subscribe to Flipbook. But the one like Genially, OpenShot, Canva, they are free. So Canva for professional one, you have to pay, and our school, they subscribe to the pro version. So we have access to the pro features. That's the answer. Personally funded, for me personally, I try to use free tools as much as possible. Sometimes I do need to buy like good camera, but I bought one from Shopee, really cheap one, just a webcam, very cheap. It serves the purpose. For lighting, it's for video, I would think the most important thing is the lighting. You have to ensure that you have sufficient lighting. So when I first started making the video, my lighting wasn't very good. So if you look at the videos that I have in my MOOC, they're pretty dark because I don't have sufficient lighting. Then after that, I applied to my school and get the studio lighting equipment, and my video got better because of the lighting. It clears up because of the lighting. So there's another question, a minimum and maximum number of module learning outcomes and lesson topics in one module. Of course, minimum one will be one. You have to have at least one learning outcomes, but there's no maximum one. Okay, there's no maximum. You need to have at least one, but there's no maximum one. 2 lessons or topics in one module. I attended open learning workshop on creating micro-credential, and I did ask the same question, how many modules or how many lessons do I have in one micro-credential? Like I have 7, sometimes I have 3, I've seen one with 2 and so on. So I did ask the open learning creators, how many minimum should we have in one micro-credential? They say there's no minimum. Okay, there's no minimum, it's entirely up to the developer. But for me, I would personally recommend like at least 3. Don't only have, you don't have only one lesson. 2, I think it's okay, but I would say I would advise to have at least 3. For the competition and so on, for MOOC challenge, if you remember, we were advised to have 5. Okay, but I've seen ones with 3. I have a micro-credential with only 3 lessons. So I would recommend 3 personally. Okay, there's no maximum, but again, micro-credential is micro. Okay, it's a small bite-sized course. So we don't want to overwhelm the learners with a lot of modules or a lot of lessons. So keep that in mind. And make sure that you don't have too many lessons. I cannot recommend a number. I would say maybe less than 10 if I need to recommend. But minimum, I would say maybe 3 is a good choice for me personally, yeah. Not CDA guideline. And for the maximum, personally, less than 10, not too overwhelming. Okay. The best will be like 5, 6, something like that, around that figure. All right. So there's no more question, I think. So I can continue with the slides presentation on infographic. This is in the video, okay? The slides that you use either in the video. Sometimes the developer will embed the slides on the page itself. That's fine. So you have to make sure all these slides or presentation infographic that you have, they fulfill all these criteria. Okay, and if you really need an example, I will give you an example. Okay, so for slides, my slides are basically like this. So these are the slides that I usually use in my lecture. So I'm just going to use the same one in my micro-credential videos. So when I first started developing the micro-credential, the CDE, they have not come up with the checklist yet. Maybe, but I think I did not refer to the checklist a lot. I think they have come up with a checklist, but I just devised the color as this. I just want to make it simple because your slide, it should be as simple as possible. Sometimes we do have like the creator, in their slides, they add in an animation, people waving or cats moving and something like that. That is not really, that could, you might think that it looks nice to have something animated going on when you're delivering a lecture, but it just distracts the learners. So try to keep it simple when it comes to the slides. Okay, minimum sometimes is the best. Less is more, say. Okay, so that's what you have here. Minimum bullet points, not too many text. You don't want to have too many text. It's just like your presentation, your research presentation. Don't put in the whole thing, the text for the learners to read, because they are not going to read the whole thing. It's too boring. So you have to put in point form. Minimum transition, like I say, minimum animation, less is more. High quality graphics. So you have to invest a lot on recording tools and so on and so forth to have high quality graphic. And charts, if any, color scheme, like I say, 3 colors, appropriate font, so consistent font lah. So CDA recommended this. I'm not too sure whether I use that or not. I use something else, I think, but as long as it's consistent, it's fine, and it's large enough for the learners to see. You don't want to have like very small font. All videos indeed need to have intro and outro MC. From what I understand, in the learning activities, the videos, the teaching videos, you don't have to have intro and outro for MC, but your promotional video, you need to have intro and outro. Okay, promotional video, you need to have intro and outro, and the intro and outro can be downloaded from the CDA website. For the teaching video, you don't have to, but if you want, you can put in. If you want, you can put in, but you don't have to. For me, I have my own intro. This is my own intro that I use throughout my video. So this is my own intro, not intro by CDAE. So you can do that as well if you fancy it. Okay. So let's go back. Now, the video lecture should meet the following criteria. Is original, of course, MC, like we say, paid cost. The learners paid to join your MC. So the material, you're going to use your MC for commercial purposes. So therefore, any materials in your MC, they have to be copyright free. Okay, they have to be copyright free, down to the image that you use, down to the wording that you use, and so on and so forth. So it has to be original. And again, lecture video, of course, it has to be original. You cannot just get from YouTube link, get any video from YouTube and post it in your micro credential. You cannot do that. You have to create your own video. Okay, and of course, the duration is between 3 to 15 minutes. So each video should be at least 3 minutes and should not exceed 15 minutes. And then some creator will ask, but lecture video is usually very long, half an hour. I cannot fit the whole lecture in just 3 minutes or 15 minutes. No, it's not possible to do that. If it's not possible, then break your videos into 2 videos. If you have a 30-minute video, then break it into part 1, part 2. So you have each video 15 minutes each. Okay, so do that. Acceptable quality, not blurry. So you need to learn some, video producing, video making skills, blending skill and so on to make your video. Make sure you produce your video nicely so that it's not blurry. So you have to make the recording, invest on some equipment and tools so that the recording will not come up blurry. Smooth transition between video scenes. So you have to have a smooth transition. You don't have to, you don't want to have an awkward gap in between scenes, from you talking, jumping to the PowerPoint, for example. You don't want to have an awkward gap in between. So it's a smooth transition. Okay, you might want to use animation, whatever, but that is what is meant by smooth transition, I believe. We'll give you some example later on. Transition, let's see whether I can show you some video. So this is my video. Okay, transition. So let's see the transition. Smooth transition from here to the other part. Okay, smooth transition. See, from one frame to another, there is a smooth transition. So I guess that's what meant by smooth transition. Okay. Smooth lecture flow, that we will assess that. Subtitle or closed caption for the video, this is optional. If you want to have caption, then it's optional. Usually what we do is we upload the video to YouTube, and YouTube will give us this caption. Okay, you can put in the caption in YouTube if you want. So if the learners don't quite understand your accent, they can actually read the text to really know what you're talking about. So you can do that. Okay, but this is optional. But if you want, you can put it in. The instructor appears professional and confident, so this pretty subjective. So your face has to be in the video. So sometimes what the developer like to do is they like to make themselves into an animated character and then deliver the lecture using the animated character. I mean, that's fine, but you don't want to do that for every single video. You see, you don't want to do that for every single video, because as learner, we want to see our instructor. We love to see our instructor. We don't want to see a cartoon version of our instructor. So make sure, you know, in some of the videos, at least you show your face there. Okay, you show your face there and you talk in the video. Okay, so that this will be a better learning experience for the learner. So let's do that. So we will judge whether you appear professional and confident. Or up to now, I think all our course developer, they do appear professional and confident in their lecture video. Now engage with audience, deliver in conversational language. So try to do that. So take note of these criteria, and when you record yourself giving the lecture, try to keep these points in mind and try to do that. You know, try not to read from text, because when you read from text, it's going to sound very mechanical. So try not to do that. If you have to read from text, then you have to become a very good actor or actress and then read it with emotion. Read it emotion so that it doesn't sound too mechanical. Clear voice. So record, you know, you have to have clear voice, invest in microphone or use very good recording device. So try to do that, engage with audience and not just deliver the lecture in your own world. Clear voice with good pace. So try to, you know, pronounce the words very clearly and make sure there's no background noise. So sometimes some of the videos that we get, we can hear the background noise, like the fan on our laptop, because most of the time when we're recording the video, we're using the microphone on our laptop, built-in microphone. So sometimes you hear the background noise of the laptop fan, or the background noise from outside the house and so on. So when you do, try not to do that, okay? So you can use this tool. So I'm going to type here in the chat box, Audacity. You can use Audacity to remove the background noise. Okay, for attendance, I don't know. So CDA will reply that, okay? So for background noise, you can use Audacity to remove the background noise in your video. Okay, so your video should have all this. Okay, so if you look at my video, back then I think my videos are not exactly the good. The background noise is still something there, but then as you know, as you move forward, you learn new skills and you'll see that the video will become better and better. So hopefully when I introduce all these tools to you, you can make use of this tool and make an even better video in the future. Okay. A video or audio podcast. So sometimes the developer will use podcast. I have never encountered a developer that used podcast before, but it's possible. So if you use podcast, then make sure that all your podcast will achieve all these requirements. Okay, will achieve all these requirements. And again, the video audio will also have to, you know, achieve these requirements. Are same thing here. Okay, this is the same as the lecture video, right? So I think that's the content wise, that's it. If you have any question for me, feel free to ask. If not, we proceed to learning activity and assessment. That will be the final section. Any question? If not, then we look at, are we allowed to use AI for the voiceover? I think you are allowed to, but again, not for all the videos, because we, as learner, we really like your voice. We really like to listen to the voice of our instructor. I think CDAE doesn't have a very strict guidelines on whether you can use you can only use animated character or AI voiceover. They don't have strict guidelines on that. So I think it's possible for you to use them if you want. But personally, for me, I would encourage you to at least, you know, show up in some of the videos, and then, you know, let us hear your real voice in some of the videos. Okay. Don't be shy. I'm pretty shy too, but I forced myself to appear on the video because I think it will be a better learning experience for the learners because they feel more close to the instructor, you know. But sometimes for the younger generations, I do think that sometimes they might feel better if you use animated character. I don't know. I'm not them. I'm from the old generation. So from the old generation perspective, I feel much closer to my instructor. I feel much better if I can see the instructor and I can hear the instructor. Okay. So learning activity and assessment. So of course you have the learning content, that's your lecture, the teaching content. But now, after the learners have gone through your notes, have gone through your lecture video, you need to have an assessment. You need to have activity to test them, to test what they have learned. So as a guideline for each module here, go back to module. For each lesson here, for each tab that you see here, you have to have at least one assessment and one activity. So for example, in lesson 1, we're going to have one assessment, at least one assessment, and at least one activity. Okay, for lesson 2, at least one assessment and at least one activity. So that's the guide that we have. Okay, so you need to do that. So for example, it depends on your style, on the developer, whether they want to have the assessment and activity under each page, or they want to have the assessment or activity as a separate page by itself. So it's entirely up to you. Okay, you can embed the activity or assessment in one of these pages, or you can have a separate page solely on assessment and activity. It depends on you. How long did it take to you to prepare and complete the MC? It depends on the amount of lessons that I have. Like for these functions of several variables, it took me quite long, more than half a year to complete everything. But for a small one, like the ones here, see, like the small ones with only three type of 3 lessons, you can complete it within 3 months. You can complete it within 3 months if you are really committed to it. Like you give up everything and you just work on it, then you can finish in 3 months. Okay, but overall, in med school, I think our target is to complete one module, meaning 1 micro credential per year. So that's our target lah. But how long you will use to complete one MC depends on how many lessons you have. So usually it will take at least 3 months, I would say, lah, if you really want to develop a high quality one. Okay, you have to put in time and effort into it.
Dr. Suyen, can I know for this kind of like a module, like you have 8 like lesson over there. So how many SLT is like been calculated for this one? SLT.
For this
Yeah.
one, I cannot remember, but I will show you something.
Okay.
So I have module outline, and I cannot remember how many SLT. But I think for this one, I think it's over 60, if I'm not mistaken. It's over 60 SLT for this one. Because I calculated it like this. Because like I said, I calculated it according to my BPK. So BPK, we will have, how many hours per week and so on. So I calculated that based upon my BPK, and I estimated that for this course is 3 weeks. Okay, so this course, this is only 3 weeks. So 3 weeks, this is only 3 weeks. Well, for my function of several variables, so not this is not 60 SLT. So this is over 30 over SLT, so it's 3 weeks. So per week is about 11.4 hours per week. So it's about 11.4 of SLT, so about 3 weeks, so more or less more than 30 lah. SLT. So that's how I calculate that based upon my arrangement of the topic in my BPK. Because in my BPK for this topic, it will take over 3 weeks to cover everything. So that's why I including the assessment and so on and so forth. So when I calculated that, I calculated to be 3 weeks. So that's how I define the SLT for my micro credential. Hopefully it answer your question. Is that all right?
Yeah. Thank you so much. It
Mhm.
really helped me to how to plan doing the with the SLT with the BPK.
So because when you're developing micro credential based upon academic course, it's very easy because everything you just follow the BPK. Okay, as a
Yeah.
guide.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's go back to learning activity here.
Wait,
So
Dr. Teh,
yes.
so can you go back to your page just now? Yeah, no, I mean the one you shown
Okay.
this one. Okay, for the assessment, right? Okay, let's say for the CT, I mean the credit transfer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assessment usually we have, like for example, we have tests and then final exam and so on, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for the assessment perspective, and when you convert it into MC, so how do you, I mean, do you have to redesign the assessment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my question. Do you have to redesign the question because all the MC will be delivered 100% online, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how do we need to redesign our assessment from, I mean, maybe the face-to-face physical kind of like test and a final exam, right?
Yeah.
So that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah. You do have to I guess you can use back the same some of the question, but if you have many questions, then I'm not too sure whether you want to put every single question into it. Like you have too many tutorial question, but do you want to put all the tutorial question in there for them to do? So it depends on the SLT. So that's why I say when you do the cost mapping, before you create a micro credential, we all have to do cost mapping. And in the cost mapping, you will have a better idea on how lengthy your assessment activity should be in order to fulfill the SLT. So let's say, okay, my part of this SLT here is already covered by the video lecture. So now the assessment and activity, I should have like 5 SLT for this. So I have 5 SLT for this assessment activity. Then you have to think of assessment activity that can be completed within 5 hours. Okay, so that's how you use. Yeah, the answer is yes. You might need to redesign a little bit your activity and assessment to adhere to the SLT calculation.
Okay. Thank you on that. So meaning that we sometimes we need to chunk our assessment as well, is it?
Your assessment, you might need to reduce or add in depending on your SLT. Even if you reduce the amount of assessment, let's say you think I want to give more, exercise to the student, you can put it as a supplementary thing and then have it not counted towards SLT, you see? Understand?
Yeah, understood. It's kind of like they are self-learning, right?
Yes,
Assessment.
yes.
And
You
then
can
last question on the assessment,
Mhm.
because how do we make sure how to say the validity parts of the assessment, kan? Because when we talk about the credit transfer, right? So when the QC team they go through your, I mean, review your, I mean, MC ini kan?
Mhm.
So do they also look into the validity of the assessment, especially for the credit transfer MC?
Okay, that's a very good question. When we assess the micro-credential, we assess for its publication. So when it's published doesn't mean that it's good enough for credit transfer. Another team, the Quality Verification Center, the QVC, when your course, when your micro-credential is being identified for credit transfer, your micro-credential will undergo another stage of QC, okay, done by QVC. USM. Understand? So the QVC will then assess whether your course here fulfill the credit transfer requirement. So that will be maybe another benchmark.
Understood. So from your experience,
Mhm.
because the way you, I mean, from your presentation, I got it. Because you also had the credit transfer
Mhm.
MC, right?
Mhm.
So okay, my question is how to say, how to put it this, okay, from your experience, right? I mean, because you have both, you have the MC for
Mhm.
the casual, I mean the non-city one,
Mhm.
and then you have also for the I mean your how to say, yeah, it's okay. I lost I lost my point.
You asked the
That's
same
why
question because we attended the same workshop, right? I think you asked the question to Dr. Nick as well on
yeah, that's right. But
regarding
because
how to ensure the learner actually really achieve the outcome, right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because now the good thing is because you have the experience, right? So that's why it's good because you are kind of practicing the theory again. So
Okay.
that's why it's good to learn from experience. But it's okay. If I remember, I mean, if I got back the question, I will pose the question again.
Sure.
No issues. Thank you. Right.
Sure. One of the
Okay.
questions that we always get.
Dr. Teh, Nurul here.
Mhm.
Okay, one more question, like,
Sure.
that our assessment, is it must for the QBC, is it must be 100% similar to those in BPK? From my understanding, that the MC that we want to QVC must be mirror to the BPK. This is from my understanding from our previous workshop. And then another thing is, when one of the assessment is peperiksaan akhir, where we conducted it face to face for our program in USM, but when MC, it will be online. So what kind of platform that we should go for conducting this final exam? That's my question. Is it we can use the exam online by USM because our MC student is not registered as USM student, so they don't have access to the exam online platform. So that's my question, burning question in my head now when when do the course mapping and all that. And another thing is, because we are at Inform, we have this course is actually having practical amali. So I think that we can do hybrid lah for the amali. They can come here and do the amali lah for that part. But for the final exam, just want to ask your opinion. What is the best way, to conduct peperiksaan akhir for MC?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nero. So based upon the workshop that I attended, Dr. Nick's workshop, when your course has been identified for the credit transfer, it then depends on the school how you want to do the assessment. Okay, how do you want to do the final exam and so on. So let's say if your school decided to, okay, we have this credit transfer, this course can be, this micro-credential can be used for credit transfer, but we require the student to come for the test or to come for the final exam, then it's okay. Then in order for the student to have this, to have it as credit transfer, the students have to come and do their exam, do their tests physically in USM. Or if the school decide that, okay, it might be hard for the student to come here physically to do the exam, to do the test, then we do it online. Okay, like what we have experienced during COVID. So it's, again, from what I understand from the workshop with Dr. Nick, this is entirely up to the school, how they want to, devise this credit transfer for this course, how they want to do the assessment, how they want to do the final exam. So for me personally, what I would like to see is that, okay, the students, they can use the micro-credential. If they completed the micro-credential, then it's good, but it's not good for credit transfer yet. They have to come for the final exam. They have to be present here physically, or they can do the final exam online with me monitoring them via WebEx or something, or some other platform. So that's my opinion. I hope that answer your question, Dr. Nurul.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Teh. I think that's actually same with our our information here. And then we will see We will discuss among us which one will be the best way to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
the best person to contact is Dr. Nila because she knows better than me. She's of course the director of the QVC. So you have to ask her. She knows more detail than me. I only attended her workshop, so I know some details about the plan. But the plan might change. The rules might change. So it's better to refer to CDAE or Dr. Nila.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, all right. So can it still be edited or modified after published online? Of course, once you have done your MC QC check already passed, then your MC has been published. Then can you still modify it? Yes, the answer is yes. You can still modify it. I think is it 3 years or 5 years? I cannot remember whether it's 3 years or 5 years because from my understand from CDAE is after some time your course will become I don't know the term for it. It's like it will be I'm not too sure whether it's delisted or something, but it will become obsolete. And then you have to, revamp it and submit for QC check again, if I'm not wrong. So after a few years, you have to revamp it. Okay, so the answer to that is you can still modify, you can still edit it if you find something unsuitable or if you want to change the 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 question for the assessment, you can do that, but don't do it too frequently. Maybe once a year would be good, I think, because you have students coming in batches. So you want to modify, maybe you can consider modifying once per year and not like continuously modifying it. That will be hard for the learners to catch up because you see when in order for the learners to complete the micro-credential, they will have a progress. It will track the progress, like what you have in the screen here. It will track my progress. So I can only have 100% completion when I completed all your activities. So let's say I completed like 99%, and then suddenly you change your activity or you change your assessment. Then I have to redo my assessment activity to have it 100% completed. So that's how it is. So keep that in mind when you're trying to modify or edit your course when you're still when it's already been published. Okay. How to calculate the fees for each MC? How do I calculate the fees? Up to you lah. Like I said, CDAE say minimum 30 ringgit lah. So if you look at your course and you think that I put so much effort into it, I want to make it 1,000 ringgit. So you just make it 1,000 ringgit lah. It's entirely up to the developer. Okay. Hope that answered the question. Anyway, let's go back to assessment and let me show you something here first. Okay, like I said, you can embed the assessment activity in one of the pages, or you can do it separate like this. You have the content, and then after that, you do have the assessment or activity page. Okay, so you can do that if you want. It depends on your style. My style is I just embed it into the page. So that's my style. So you follow your style. Okay, so for example, the first page here, I have the learning content and so on and so forth. And then I have the assessment. Okay, I have the assessment here. And in some other page, I would have the activity. Okay, the activity. So you have to differentiate between assessment and activity. Assessment is like quiz lah. Okay, example is quiz. Activity is more like an assignment. Okay, more like assignment, project, and so on. Okay, so again, for each lesson here, you need to have at least one activity, at least one assessment. So that's the guideline. So assessment requirement, let's look at activity requirement first. They are aligned with learning outcomes, use platform tags. So I'll show you what these platform tags are. So let's go back to my activity. Okay, let's see.
Saya tengok sekarang macam TPM anak 2, 3 saja.
So activity you have a platform tag. You can see the tag here. Okay, you need to have this platform tag. So when it comes to tag, this tag will be inserted by you, okay, according to learning outcome. So for learning outcome 1, you will have its own tag. Learning outcome 2 will have its tag. So when you create a course, you will need to enter tag. You will need to enter that tag for each course learning outcomes. So when you enter the tag should be short, just 1 word or 2 words at most, okay? So this is the course tag for the activity. You can have more than 1 tag. Okay, you can have more than 1 tag. So summative assessment compulsory to include. I would think so. I would think so. That you will see later. Feedback. You need to have the feedback, right? For assessment and also the learning activity. You need to have some form of assessment. So you need to be able to, because when you have, I will come to it later, but assessment basically, if you use the widgets, the quiz widgets in open learning, it will assess the learner automatically for you. The learner will be able to tell whether they have the question correct or not. Now, in activity, when you ask them to post a file, post an image, the system doesn't check the file or the image they posted. So you, as the developer, as the instructor, you have to go back and download the file or the image or look at the file or the image they have posted and assess whether it's correct or not. If it's not correct, or even if it's correct, you want to give feedback. So there will be place for you to give feedback. So I will give an example later on, okay? So that's the tag that you need to include. So for all this activity, you need to include the tag, whether this, why the tag is needed, because you want to link the activity to the course learning outcome so that the learner can identify, okay, this activity is linked to course learning outcome 3, for example. You don't have to follow certain tag. There's no specific tag. You just find, it's like keyword to your, it's like tag is like a keyword associated to your learning outcome. I cannot remember where I set the tag. Let me see if I can find it. Not too sure whether I can find it here. Builders, not editors. Oh, maybe it's at the landing page. Let's see my landing page, yeah? So I'll show you where you can put where we usually put in the tag, if I can find it. That's not the link. Oops. Okay, here. So this is where in open learning, where you will specify your course learning outcome and where you will specify the tag. Okay, so you can see here, I have like a tag for each. You have to have a tag for each learning outcome. So what word to use for a tag entirely up to you, because it is associated with your course learning outcome. So for example, the first one, it will achieve like PLO1. So PLO1 is about knowledge and understanding. So I just put knowledge lah, because it's knowledge. 2 is about application. So I would say I put real problem solving, for example. It's just like tag, like a hashtag you use in Instagram. Okay, those kind of tags. That is, when you see the tag, immediately you know what it's all about. Okay, so that's the keyword that you use for the tag. So hope that helps. I don't know, that's the way I devise the tag. I just think of it in that way. So so let's go back to where we left off, the tag. Okay, so for activity, there's a place when you create the activity, you will know that, because right now we're not teaching you how to use the open learning widgets, but it's just that we're telling you that what you need to have. So when you create this activity and so on, there will be a place for you to put the tag. So make sure you put the tag so that we know, so that the learner will know, okay, if I do this activity is actually associated with the course learning outcome 1, 2, or 3. It's testing me on achieving the achievement of this learning outcome. Okay, so that's the tag. Instruction, written or verbal for each activity is clear. So you can have written instruction or you can have like a recording for the instruction. So it must be clear. Instruction activity, when you have activity, you have to have some instruction. Same thing with the video, same thing with assessment. All of them, you have to provide instruction because you're not there physically with the students. So you have to provide very good and clear instruction for the students so that they can do it on their own. So keep that in mind when you're writing the instruction for certain activity or for certain learning content. Okay. Variety of relevant learning activities, engaging learning activities. So a variety of learning activities means you diversify the type of activities that you have. For example, the most common activities that we have is, of course, asking the student to do something and then ask them to post the PDF, post the report as PDF, or post image, or post some text, and so on and so forth. So that's the most common type of activities, and it's good activity. So different type of activity means different type of things, different type of activities. Like for example, let me give you an example. Like activities that I have in my course are like this. Okay, just using GeoGebra or any plotting software. Okay, this is one type of activity. Another type of activity I would also have, let me show you, using this. Okay, let me show you this one. They are all like posting stuff, asking the student to post stuff, which is fine. Okay. But you will have a different type of activity. Sometimes you have a plotting activity like this, ask the student to plot something. And sometimes you can ask the student to do some other things like programming activity, like using Python. So they can actually run the Python here in eLearn, in Open Learning. Okay, they can do it here, they can modify the program, and then they post, then you can ask them to, post the result if you want, and so on. Okay. So that's the diversification of activities lah. And of course, you can also make use of activities like using the AI. So sometimes I do things like this, asking them to use ChatGPT or something to explore further on certain topics and assess whether the answer that they get from ChatGPT is correct or not, makes sense or not, something like that. So you can do something like this. So this is something that I would have under my activity as well. So
Let's say I have
yes.
questions regarding the assessment. Like, do you as a developer, we need to monitor all the time, or we just let the students do all themselves, or what is the best way to like monitor or assess? Can you have
Oh, okay. So
explain?
for assessment, I think what you're talking about is assessment. What should you do after the student posted something on the open learning platform, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So once the student posted something, you will receive a notification in the email. So if you can see here, I have received a lot of notification like this. Okay. So once the student posted something, you will receive a notification about the post. And then you can choose to directly go and check on their work, or you can include a message to the student to say that once you have completed everything, just send me an email, then I will go through and check all of your work before I issue you the certificate. So that's what I'm doing. So right now, because if you have too many students, it will be hard for you to keep on going back and then check the student, at any time of the day, right? You don't want to do that. So what I would do is I will set a message when the student completed everything. That you see, the completion is like this. When the student posted something, it will be considered completed, even though the student is posting nonsense. Okay, even if you ask the student to post up some image, so maybe they post some nonsense in image. Okay, it will still be considered completed. So when they achieve 100% completion, they will receive the certificate or they will receive the badge. But you can set it otherwise. You can set it to manually issue the certificate. So when it's manually issued the certificate, you have to click on the button to issue the certificate. So you can add a message there to say that if you want the certificate, you email me so that I can check your work first before I issue you the certificate. So that's what my student did. They email me once they have completed. So I go back and look for their work uploaded, posted on Open Learning, and I check through all of them. If I'm satisfied with the feedback, then I will issue them the certificate. If not, then I will comment on the posted work and I say, oh, this is not quite right. So maybe you want to rethink it and redo it again. So that's what I'm doing right now. So you can do that if you want. If not, you will receive notification and you can always go back, every time you get a notification, you can go and see what they posted and just just check it there and then if you want. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, Dr. Teng. And another thing is like we like because because we would like to have like we need to make sure that all the activity is like quite into our par. Okay, like because we want them to transfer credit, for example. So what is your suggestions in terms of like doing activities? Like is there any like give marks, or what is the best way? Is it marking, give marks, or anything to see what is the like maybe a rubric, for example, for us to like assess them well? What is your take on this?
So for me, again, if you're using the micro credential for credit transfer, then your school has to decide, okay, final exam, okay, all right, they can come back and do their final exam. But what about for the coursework part, right? Coursework part, do they do everything online, or they have to come back and again do their coursework, meaning sit for the tests, do their lab work and so on. So your school has to decide for them. So if your school decided that, okay, for coursework, they don't have to come back, they can do their assignment here online, they can do their test here online. So you have to create your micro credential that way so that it allows you to assess them online. So for example, assessment like this, activities like this, you want it to be part of the coursework grade or something, coursework marks, right? So you want to be able to give marks to their work. So you can put in a rubric, just like what you are doing with your assignment, with our assignment nowadays. Our assignments, we need to have rubric, right? So you can upload the rubric here, ask the student, and then assess and give marks to their work based upon that rubric. And then at the end, you will get the marks for the coursework online here, but you have to do it manually. The system cannot do it automatically for you for now. Okay.
Okay, understood. So it just is a similar like approach what we have done now. Then we just transform into the
Yes.
MC.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Learning platform is something like eLearn. It's something like eLearn, but I think it's more it is simpler than eLearn. What I say, I would
Okay,
think it's simpler than eLearn. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Teng.
Welcome. So what challenges or difficulties did I face when using MC for teaching for the first time? Do you have any advice? I don't use my MC for teaching because I don't use my MC for teaching because it costs money. And of course, I can open a private class that's free. But last time I remember, the CDA did come up with the rule that we cannot use it because they have to pay for each student, even for the private shared class or something like that. But the last time when I attended the CDA workshop, they say that is no longer true. But anyway, I don't use my micro credential for teaching because I want the student to pay, because I spend a lot of time to create a micro credential. I don't want to give it to them for free. So my intention is to use my micro credential for credit transfer. So I'm having that in mind. So we are working towards that. So I have not used it for teaching. I don't have any advice. I don't know. You can open a private class for the. I know of developers in mathematics who have opened a private class for the student to explore lah. Then the student will explore, will go through all the thing and so on. For my MOOC, yes, I have students. Some of them have completed it. So difficulties is, when you have a lot of students, then you realize it's overwhelming. Then you have to check every single one of their posts and so on. So when you do your assessment activity, you really need to think carefully lah. You need to think properly, because when you have a lot of students, you have to check what they posted, every single one of them, and you have to give feedback. So keep that in mind when you're creating your assessment and activity, especially activity, because assessment basically is self-check, but activity, keep that in mind. You have to go back and provide feedback for the student manually, right? Okay, that's my answer to your question. So let's go back. A variety of engaging learning activities. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. So different types of activities like this, even though they're just involving posting PDF, posting thoughts, posting image, and so on and so forth. But you can see that the activities, they are slightly different. Some are graph plotting, some are programming, and so on and so forth. Feedback for learning activities by providing rubrics or checklists. So you refer to Appendix 2. So rubrics you can provide, checklists you can provide. But for me, I would just go back and give feedback to the student manually. So you would have to have features on that. So sometimes I will give you an example on micro-credential that doesn't fulfill that criterion. So sometimes we will have like this assessment. The instructor will give instruction, but there's no place to provide feedback and so on and so forth. So don't do that. Okay, you have to include the place for the learners to provide feedback and for the instructor to provide feedback to the student or the learners as well. So therefore, don't do something like this. So you need to include some widgets lah. So I'll show you if you're not familiar. So you need to include something lah. This one. Post. I cannot remember. So you have to, I also cannot remember where is it. Okay, post file or something like this. You have to include something here, some widgets here that will allow them to upload something, whether it's a file or image and whatsoever. And if you want to grade them later on, you might want to provide a link here to the rubric. You might want to provide rubric here in the instruction, or just link to the rubric so that the learners would know how they are being assessed. So that's something that you can do, right? So that's about activity. And last, have assessment. So assessment, formative, summative, is aligned with learning outcomes, use platform tag. Now this is the one that I don't quite understand, the platform tag, because there's no place where I can include the platform tag for my assessment. This is activity. Activity is fine, it will have a platform tag. But when I have assessment, I don't have platform tag because there's no place for me to include them. So that is understandable if you don't have platform tag here. But if you want to really emphasize on the platform tag, then you can just put the tag in yourself. But what's more importantly is that you will have a platform tag at every single page, at the start of every single page, include the platform tag. Because what it will do is, at least if the platform tag is not, the tag is not at the assessment, but at least we know that this page is solely based upon this tag, real problem solving, which is course learning outcome 2. So of course, this assessment is for testing the achievement of course learning outcome 2. So I guess the tag here you should put in for the page itself, right? How many students do you have so far enrolled for this MC? I don't have any students for my MC. So like I say, my MC, I use it for reference, but it is not the best MC. It is not the most popular MC, okay? So for this MC, I don't have any student enrolled yet. There are maybe 1 or 2 students in some of the MC, but we don't really have a lot of we don't have any students for the MC, so I don't have any students. I'm sorry about that. There are more popular MCs, but I don't have access to them, and I don't quite want to pay for them for this workshop lah. Okay, so I'm showing you my MC as a reference, because I think because my MC passed the QC check with very little need for revision. So you can use it as a reference, okay? And then you just build on it, inject your own style, your own creativity, and then make it even better than what I have lah, okay? But this is just give you some idea lah on what we expect for the QC, what is being expected when you send your micro-credential for the quality control checking. Is it required to put the tag? Because I only write the title there instead of using tag. Yeah, CDE, I think not a requirement, but it's advisable to have tag. If you don't have the tag there, as an assessor, we will comment on it lah. We'll ask you to put in the tag if possible, because the tag is important because it will help the learner to identify what learning they are what they expect from this particular page. For this particular page, okay, this is for the achievement of course learning outcome 2. That means it's about application. Okay, so it's testing me on application. So that will really help lah. And it will also help to identify the assessment, the type of assessment that you're doing, whether it's for course learning outcome 1 or 2 or 3 and so on and so forth. So it is not compulsory, I think, but it is really advisable, and I hope that all of you would put in the tags because it's not too difficult to put in the tag. Do I think that an academic course is suitable to be promoted to the public so that more learners could join the course? Yeah, but for my course, for medical courses and so on, some of the social sciences courses is really popular. But for mathematics, I think it's not popular because who would want to pay money to learn math? That's my opinion. Some people will, but because this micro-credential is on calculus. We developed this on calculus because our previous dean has a vision of using it for some as a prerequisite for our advanced degree. Okay, we have some vision for the development of this micro-credential. So, but when you talk about public, you wouldn't pay to just learn calculus, right? You would pay to learn certain, certain things, but I don't think that you would need to pay. You would want to pay to learn calculus in that manner. So we're striving to to promote this. But the vision back then when we first created these micro-credentials are to use it for, postgraduate students who are from different background. They want to do some postgraduate studies in our school, but they don't have the certain basic knowledge of mathematics. So we would ask them to take this micro-credential. So that's the vision and the mission when we first created the micro-credential. Academic course suitable to be promoted to the public. Yeah, sometimes if you have a, let's say, machine learning course, the public might be interested in it. So it really depends on the type of course that you have. It doesn't mean that no academic course is not suitable for the public. It depends on the course. Is it possible to develop MC in group of 2 or 3? Of course, you can develop MC in group. You don't have to do it alone. I do it alone because I don't know why I did it alone, because nobody was interested to partner up with me, I guess. But I did it alone. I think it's also easier for me to do it alone at my own pace. But we do have developers who work as a team. Okay, in math, we do have developers that work as a team, in team of 3. Okay, so yeah, it's possible. You don't have to do it alone. All of them will be able to edit the micro-credentials, but one of them will be the lead one because the money, if you have learners, the money will go to, I think, that developer, at the main developer, I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Can people outside Malaysia take MC courses offered by USM? Of course, you can, anyone can take, anyone can join the micro-credentials, the USM micro-credential, anyone. If you go to Open Learning, I will show you something. Let's go to Open Learning. If you go to Open Learning, there's a thing called Open Learning Marketplace. Our courses are actually listed in the Open Learning Marketplace. And of course, we know that this Open Learning platform is accessible by anyone, anyone around the world. So therefore, they will be able to search your courses in Open Learning platform. search more. See, yeah. I did it yesterday, but cannot remember. Okay, calculus, for example. They can search for the cost, and then you will have this cost listed. So anyone can do that, and they can join from anywhere around the world. Okay, so something like that. Well, hope that answered the question. So let's move on. Appropriate methods and level and taxonomy. So appropriate methods, you have to determine what kind of methods assessment that you want. Usually for me, it's quiz. Okay, it's quiz. It's like question and then multiple choice question. It can be essay question and so on and so forth. So level of taxonomy, this will follow, you use the keyword like when you, it's the same as when you do your coursework, when you design your coursework or when you create the question for your coursework, you have to follow the level of taxonomy that you have in your BPK, right? It's the same thing here in open learning. In open learning, you use the same keyword that you have, like for example, use or calculate and so on and so forth. Use the same keyword that reflect the level of taxonomy that you have for that course learning outcome. Because for me, like this assessment is for course learning outcome 2. Course learning outcome 2 is what level of taxonomy? C4, for example. Then you have to use the keyword, the verb from key 4 for your exercise in assessment. Okay, so that's the meaning. Appropriate methods. So appropriate methods is up to you. Okay, you can have certain methods like, for example, fill in the blank like this. You can have something like this. It's entirely up to you, but you have to again diversify your type of assessment. You don't want possibly to have everything like multiple choice question. You would want to have some fun things like what you have here. Okay, fun things like this and so on and so forth. Interactive quiz. You would have different type of assessment. So in open learning, they have different type of assessment widget. So you can use the quiz widget to create your assessment. So basically diversify, don't stick to just one format because it's going to be very boring. You want to diversify your method. How MC helpful for PhD student? Can we use them in PhD thesis? Helpful for PhD student. Oh, we have developer in med school who have because as you know, MC, they don't have to come from academic courses. They can be from lifelong learning courses. So that means it's not part of the academic programs in USM. So for example, for your PhD student, you are in machine learning. Okay, for example, machine learning, you accept PhD students, postgraduate students in machine learning, but you want them to have like basic knowledge of machine learning. So you might want to create a course on the basic of machine learning so that you ask your PhD student to take that course before you supervise them. Okay, so that at least they learn the basic of machine learning before they come in for PhD. So at school level, maybe your school want your PhD student to take certain courses before they come, like for example, KAA, I don't know whether it's the same throughout, it's KA 500, the research methodology. So that can be a micro-credential and all the students, the postgrad student, they have to go ahead and take the course first in micro-credential before they continue with the PhD or MSc. Okay, so that can be done. So I don't know how you can use them in PhD thesis. I don't know what that means, but basically that's it, how it can be helpful for your PhD student. You can create your own MC and require a PhD student to go ahead and learn, join the MC to learn the basic before they embark on the research for the PhD. Or at school level, they can target several micro-credentials that are required for the student, so that the student have to take before they continue with their postgraduate studies. So that's up to the school and up to the developer. Okay. So let's move on so that we can finish this. Instruction, written or verbal. For each assessment is clear. Again, instruction is very important. Even a simple instruction like this will be fine. So you have to have some instruction. Okay, so don't just leave the assessment there. Sometimes when we get some of the micro credentials that we get for the QC, sometimes they just put in the quiz without any instruction, like what should they do with it. Of course, obviously they would need to answer it, but it will be good to have very clear instruction. Okay, answer this and so on and so forth. So instruction should be there. Okay. Feedback again for assessment rubric or checklist. So it's the same thing as the activity. If it's kind of the taxonomy level is A2, is A affective or psychomotor, then you have to have the rubric. If it's cognitive, then usually what we have in open learning is the answer. When the student do the assessment, the answer will be provided automatically. So let me show you an example. This is not one. See whether I can find a sample. Not this one. So basically it will have something like this if it's if it's created using the widget in open learning, then you will be able to submit the answer that it will check whether it's correct or not. So this is self-check, automatic checking. And as a developer, you don't have to monitor this. But for the activity, when they upload or posted some image or file, you have to monitor them manually. So that's, I think, that completes the checklist. And I really hope that when you submit your micro-credential for QC, please do submit a complete one that at least fulfill all these basic requirements so that don't have to criticize you. You as a supervisor, you don't want your student to submit to you an unfinished piece of work. So same thing with us, the assessor, don't submit incomplete micro-credential to us. Okay, make sure at least it fulfills all these basic requirements. Okay. So I think that's all I want to cover for this session today. If I missed anything, let me know. If you want to know more, let me know. Do you have any questions? I don't have any students in micro-credential, but I can show you MOOC because MOOC is free. So I do have a number of number of students in MOOC. Because my MOOC is, like I said, more or less the same as my micro-credential, but it's free. So if you want to learn more, just join my MOOC and look at the content, and hopefully the content will inspire you to do even better in your micro-credentials. So when the student posted something, they are going to look something like this. Let me show you some of the things that they posted. Okay, there will be a lot of comments like this that you can reply to. Let me see one on how you can get your feedback, manual feedback. So something like this, you will see a lot of this posted image by the student because you asked the student to upload an image. So what you can do is you go and I want to see one that I have replied to. Okay, so like this one, okay, you can see, and then you can judge whether it's correct or not, and then you can provide feedback to the learners. If it's correct, then you just give a good feedback. If it's not correct, then you would put in some comment, ask them to maybe try again, use different method and so on and so forth. So that's how it looks like in open learning when the student posted something for you to check. Okay, I think that's all. Content-wise, any difference between MOOC and MC for the same topic? I don't do the same topic for MOOC and for MC. You can do that provided that the contents are slightly different. Okay, you might have the same course in MOOC and the same course in micro-credential, but because micro-credential is a paid course, so you want to have more elaborate content in MC for the same topic. Okay, for the same topic. Like MOOC is maybe a teaser that you want to use for your micro-credential. You tease them, say that, okay, this is what I give for you free. But if you want more, you go for the MC, the same topic, but more details. Okay, for me personally, my MOOC is not in my MC. The topic for my MOOC is different from the topic in my MC because that is how I devise I will show you how I design my micro-credentials. So basically what I'm developing is a academic course offered by my school here, Calculus 2. So under Calculus 2, I have different topics. This is not the good. Okay, let's go back to here. So under Calculus 2, I have different topics, and each of these topic is a micro-credential by itself. So basically, I have, I think, 5 topics in Calculus 2. So each of these topic is a micro-credential, except for one where I change it to MOOC. So if you look at the diagram here, which is also available in my MOOC, I think. Let's let it load. So this is my Calculus 2 course, okay? So I have like 4 micro-credential and 1 MOOC. So if a student completed all these 4 micro-credential and 1 MOOC, they are considered to complete the course Calculus 2. Right? So there's no overlap in the topics. There's no overlap in the topics between my micro-credential and my MOOC. Okay, but of course you are allowed to have the same course in micro-credential and in MOOC, provided that the contents are quite different. Like I say, if you have the same topics in both MOOC and micro-credential, the MOOC one serves as a teaser. Okay, but for more details, the learner should be directed to the micro-credential because micro-credential is paid. MOOC is free. You don't want to have the same course with same content in both MOOC and MC. People will, of course, go to the MOOC because it's free. Okay? Right, any other question before we end this session?
So, sorry, Dr. Teh.
Mhm.
Just now, I think you mentioned that I mean, for your MC, you want your student to pay, right?
Mhm.
And for
Yeah.
MOOC, you don't. I don't get the reason why how you decide to be, I mean, to do that. I mean, the MC one have to pay. I think you mentioned about something you spend your time, right? So you want your effort to be kind of rewarded.
Mhm.
Is that the reason just now?
Yeah, because you when you develop the micro-credential, you can use it for your course in USM. Okay, you can use it for your course in USM by opening a private class that's free, that you give free access to your USM student. You can do that. Okay, but I personally, as the developer, I don't want to choose to do that because in addition to the teaching, the usual teaching that I have to do in USM, now I have to go to micro-credential and check their work. So if you are more committed than I am, then please feel free to do so because I don't want to do double the work. So I just choose not to use the course for my USM student because my physical teaching, my usual teaching, the content that I deliver in my usual lecture in USM, they're almost the same as my micro-credential. It's just that micro-credential is video, and for USM student, I'm there physically teaching them. Okay. So yeah, that's the reason I don't want to use it for my USM student, but I can use it for other students. But I would, because for USM student, I don't want to ask my USM student to pay. Okay, I cannot ask them to pay for my micro-credential. They can if they want. I recommended it to them. I said, if you want to, I have this micro-credential, feel free to join if you want, but you have to pay, but it's not compulsory. Because what I have in the micro-credential will be delivered during my lecture in USM as well. But you can use it Okay, for me, I don't want to use it. It's the way, it's my choice.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate your stand. And one more thing about the video just now, right? I think one of the question also in the chat just now, I don't know whether you addressed that or not. Because, okay, in terms of, let's say, screencasting, right? Screencast, screencasting, I mean, when you have your
Screencasting,
PowerPoint,
okay.
yeah. But then without your face showing there, is it still acceptable for the video? I mean, the content here, ataupun in your opinion, you still want to see it's good to show the face, can?
Yes,
What's your opinion on that? Thank you.
my videos, I don't show my face all the time. I don't show my face all the time. I show my face sometimes. Okay, sometimes when necessary. So, but you don't want to have all videos just slides and you're nowhere to be seen. You don't want to have that. So interject occasionally. Your face should pop up sometimes. If you want, your face can pop up all the time. If you want, it's entirely up to you. But for me, I will pop up sometimes and then I will withdraw and only the slides. Okay, it's up to you. So what I recommend is at least I want to see your face in some of the videos. Okay, not just all PowerPoints. Some faces will be good. It'll be more interesting. Okay, does that answer your question, Dr. ID?
Yes, yes. And then you use the open shot tools.
I use a lot of tools, but mainly open shot. Because I record my PowerPoint video and my face video separately, and then I merge them later on using open shot. I layer them.
Okay, understood. Right.
Mm.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Do you need to apply for a license to develop the MC mod? Okay, so first let me address this question from Dr. Anis. Yeah, you need to apply for a license to develop the MC module because in order for you to create a course in open learning, you need to have the developer license, which you can only obtain from CDAE. So yes, you do have to do the mapping first. So the template for mapping is already in the CDA website that I posted earlier in the checkbox. So you go there, you have to create the checklist. You have to create the mapping. And I think now I'm not too sure of the procedure now. Back then you need to send it to CDAE. And then your P teacher will have a MC representative. The MC representative will help you to create the course in Migmos and then upload your MC module. But I think for the license, yes, you need to apply to CDAE to get the MC, the MC developer license in Open Learning. Because if not, if you register only as user in Open Learning, you cannot create the course. MOOC versus micro-credential, which is easier to make in terms of procedure requirement. For me, they are almost the same, okay? Because for us in USM, we are using Open Learning for the MOOC and for the micro-credential. So all of the features, they are the same. To me, the same. Which is easier to make? Both are easy to make, okay? Requirements, MC, of course, the requirement will be, in terms of procedure requirement, of course, MC will be a bit, slightly more procedure, like you have to, for MOOC, for MOOC, you still have to apply for license, if I'm not mistaken. For micro-credential, for MOOC, you still have to apply the creator license, the developer license in Open Learning. Then I think MOOC also require, I'm not too sure because I was not so much involved in MOOC. I think MOOC also need to QC check if I'm not mistaken. So for me, both MOOC and MC, they are at equal level in terms of procedure and requirement, but it's just that it's much more. If you want, for example, if you want to make a profit, then you go for MC. If you just want to, spread your knowledge, then without any gains, commercial gains, then you go for MOOC. Yeah, the reason why I created MOOC is because there was an MC MOOC challenge back then, so I just created the MOOC for the challenge lah. Okay, if not, then I will always stick with MC for your information. Okay, hope that answer your question. Any other question? If my response to your question is not clear, then let me know and then I will answer it again. Video editing, I did it myself, of course. Yeah, I did the video editing myself. You will laugh. You see the behind the scenes. I'm the actress. I'm the producer. I'm the director. I'm the screenwriter. I'm the editor. I'm all. The whole production is me only. So that's a lot of work, but once you get used to it, then it's fine. It's not too bad. How much is the I thought that's very clear already. If I remember correctly, how much do we get as developer? 30%. The other go to science lah, USM lah, school and so on. So we get 30%. No, I did not address it. Sorry, I did not address it during this session, but I think CDAE has addressed it many times before. And then I also think that it's in their the information is somewhere in their website or something like that. But for your information, as developer, we get 30%. Then I cannot remember lah, how many percent. I cannot remember. There's a ratio to it. I think 40% USM lah. And then you science 10%. And then 20% is I think school. Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10% you science, 20% your school, 40% USM, you get only 30%. If someone not faculty of USM, can he or she apply for license? Or City Sarah says correct. It's correct. So I remember 1, 2, 3, 4. Not faculty of USM, he or she still apply for license. I think cannot. Because USM has to pay for the license to create course in open learning under the Learning for Life platform. Because the Learning for Life platform is for USM. So therefore, I think only USM staff can apply to get the license. Can we nego knowing for a fact? I don't know. You nego with CDAE or the university, I don't know. But I don't think you can nego unless you bring in like a lot, like millions of ringgit. Just my 2 cents lah. If you don't bring in millions and millions of ringgit, then there's no nego lah. That's my opinion lah. Okay. Anything else? All right. No, don't we do the countdown? Okay, no more question. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, done. Okay, we're done early. Thank you very much for attending this workshop. Hope it helps, and I look forward to reviewing your micro credentials. Okay, anything you can, if there's any further question in the future, feel free to email me. I'll give you my email if you have any question. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Remember to fill in the attendance for today. Okay, that's all. Siti Sarah, boleh okay kan?
Sure. Okay, all right, Doctor.
Okay,
Thank you so much,
everyone.
Doctor, for your time.
Thank you so much for attending this workshop.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of CDAE, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to our speaker, participants, and everyone who has contributed to the success of this webinar series. So before we dismiss, you can please scan or click on the link given, which Mr. Rizwan will share like right now. Okay, fill up the e-survey and clarify your attendance to ensure your CPD point. So thank you once again for your participation, and I look forward to seeing you in future CDAE webinar series. Thank you, everyone. Take care.